Hey everyone, Sandy here from Pretty Little Book Nerds, and I'm excited to share with you today my October TBR. So in the description, you will find not only my Instagram handle and Francesca's Instagram handle, the other half of Pretty Little Book Nerds, but you will also see the username of Read with Angie. And Read with Angie has come up with a Thriller October hashtag that you can follow. You'll see that in the description as well. And she has a reading challenge going on in October. And it's like a bingo board. So for some of you who have done those before, it'll look very familiar to you. So I wanted to share with you what I am reading for the Read with Angie Thriller October Challenge, which is going to be this pile right here, along with some ebooks. And I will also be sharing with you my backup pile, which I probably won't get to too many of these, but I want to share with you what I do want to read should I get the chance to. So first, I wanted to share with you the BIPOC author that I am choosing for the Thriller October Reading Challenge, and this one is called The Beautiful from Renee Adia, Adia, and she has written a historical fiction that is thriller, it's scary, it's murder mystery, and it takes place in the late 1800s in New Orleans. And this was recommended to me by Francesca as well. So this is going to be one of our buddy reads for October. Our other buddy read, I actually just finished, so I don't have it here in my TBR pile, but check my Instagram. You will be seeing a review for that one soon. It's called The Holdout by Graham Moore. But this one, I'm looking forward to sharing this buddy read with Francesca and reading all about it because I always love everything Francesca suggests to me. So that is one of my first challenge books. The other challenge book that I'm going to be reading is a new to you author, which is part of the challenge, and this one is Hater by David Moody. I have never read David Moody before, which is why it's my new to you author. But in this book, this story kind of sounds similar to other plots that I've heard about where a virus is infecting people, but this virus turns you violent. So there are people committing violent acts, there are people killing other people because this virus is making them do it. So it's kind of a different take on a zombie apocalypse in a different kind of way. So again, looking forward to reading this one. And I do tend to really like the gory thriller books, but I'm also a big horror movie fan, so I tend to watch the movies instead of reading books. That's terrible to say. Please don't hate me, but it does happen from time to time. So I'm looking forward to reading this because I do really like horror books too. I wanted to share with you a couple of the ebooks I'm going to be reading as well. So I have two ebooks that I was given access to from NetGalley. So I'm looking forward to reading those. One of them is a haunting book as part of the Thriller October Challenge, and that one is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I'm actually reading this now. I am about halfway through chapter 1, so I'm still working on it. But this is about a house that's kind of like Amityville Horror-ish, where there are ghosts and things that are happening inside the house and terrorizing people who live inside the house. So I am a huge fan of Riley Sager's work. Final Girls was one of my favorite books. If you have not read it and you like horror thriller stuff, I highly recommend Final Girls by Riley Sager. So I cannot wait to get more into this book. The prologue alone had me hooked, and it was only like one page. So really, really excited about this title. Also on the challenge was a witchy novel, and look behind me. Look at all of these books. In addition to all of these piles, I have more behind them on the bookshelf. I also have a bookshelf across the room with books on it, and I have a bookshelf in that corner as well. And looking through all of my books, I realized I don't have any witchy novels. Like, I have very, very few. So NetGalley to the rescue. I found this book by Hester Fox called The Witch of Willow Hall. And I'm looking forward to reading this because I honestly don't know why I don't pick up witchy books. It's just not a plot line I really look for very often, but I have nothing against it whatsoever. So I am excited to take a look at this and see what it's all about. I know that it is a young girl who finds out that she has witchy powers and she can do things she never thought she could do, but it's also historical fiction. So again, I will definitely tell you how this one turns out, and looking forward to it. Another part of the Thriller October Challenge is a favorite author of yours for thrillers. And if you know anything about me in my childhood, those of you who know me professionally know that I talk about this author all the time. But I am obsessed with R.L. Stine. I was obsessed with R.L. Stine as a kid. I was in elementary school reading Fear Street books, and I gotta be honest, I like some of his Goosebump books, especially the earlier ones, but they were kind of tame for me after a while. So his Fear Street series was just, oh my gosh, skin melting off skulls, bodies twisted at the bottoms of stairs. Like I could not get enough of the Fear Street books, even though I was in like 4th or 5th grade at the time. So my mom was like, hey, you're reading, I'm going to buy you these. She gave me gift cards for every single holiday, even like Memorial Day. And we would go to Walden Books and we would buy them. So this I have not read yet. It is part of his Return to Fear Street series. So he started writing for Fear Street series again because a lot of us who enjoyed him when we were younger and couldn't buy our own books now can afford to buy our own books. So he has us as his audience again, and I'm buying it. I mean, I took it, I bought it. So this one is called The Wrong Girl, and this young girl, Poppy, is in high school. Of course, that's, you know, the Fear Street trope is them in high school. And she gets embarrassed in front of the whole school. There are some classmates who pull a prank on her and embarrass her. And then the people who ended up pulling the prank on her start to die one at a time. So is it Poppy killing them? Is it a greater force? Is it somebody getting revenge for her? I guess we'll find out. So excited for this one. Okay. And the last one on the Thriller Reads, the Thriller October Challenge. This one's kind of a fun one. The only guideline for this was it had to have red on the cover. So you can see we got some red. But this one is by an author that I absolutely adore. Her name is Caitlin Doughty, I think is how you pronounce the last name. I'm going to put it a little bit closer so you can see it. Caitlin Doughty. And this one is called Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? And I fell in love with Caitlin's first book. I actually read it on the beach, and when I tweeted that I read it on the beach, she was like, are you serious? You read that on the beach? It was called Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, and it was this beautiful nonfiction book about what it was like for her as one of the few female morticians in the Los Angeles area. And she had some funny stories and some touching stories, but then she also had chapters where she talked about just the history of the field itself, you know, what happens when people die. And in other countries, they have wakes inside the house, and families come to visit the family who's mourning, and they celebrate the person inside the house. And she really just had so many wonderful things to say in that book, both funny and also really heartwarming. So I cannot wait to get this book. This book in particular, you can see I already made my reading notes of where I wanted to like start and stop. But this is another Angie Reads thing right here. She recommends it. But with this one, she's actually answering questions from children about death. So, for example, I have to find one that's funny. What would happen if you swallowed a bag of popcorn before you died and were cremated? So basically the kids want to know, if I eat popcorn before I die, is it going to pop in my stomach if I'm cremated? You cannot make this stuff up. Like, there should be a whole nother series of Kids Say the Darndest Things. So this one I might actually have to read next because it sounds like it would be a lot of fun to read. But again, another one that I cannot wait to share this one with you. So that is my Thriller October Reading Challenge books. If I finish all of those, so don't place money on it because I'm really trying, but it's already into October, I do have my backup pile of books that I would like to read. So I just quickly want to tell you about these books because I really, really wanted to include them on my October TBR for a reason. Even if I don't get to them right now, I want to get to them as soon as possible. This first one is a nonfiction called Savage Appetites by Rachel Monroe. And she talks about why women in particular are so enthralled by true crime, like why we want to read about it and watch it on TV. So for example, I just read the prologue before I bought it because I wanted to kind of, you know, feel it out a little bit. And in the prologue, she talks about how the Oxygen Network used to have these uplifting shows, and they had the show Snapped, like the series Snapped, which if you don't know is true crime about women who snap. But everything else was, you know, like series that were uplifting and empowering. And then all of a sudden they became true crime 100% of the time, like 24/7. And I remember talking about it with my husband one day, and we were like, didn't this station used to have other types of shows on it? Like, it's just true crime all the time. And in her prologue, she mentions this. She mentions how Oxygen changed their format and just started showing all this true crime, and their ratings skyrocketed. And I thought, okay, I wasn't imagining it. It makes sense now. So I am looking forward to reading this because it is a social, human sociology look into why we really like true crime and women in particular, and what we do with that obsession, whether it's just trying to solve crimes ourselves, committing crimes. Some people in here do that. So I will share this one with you. Whether I finish it in October or not, you're going to hear about this one. And another book I have on my list, I bought this when it came out. I'm so excited for this. It's called On Birthday, and it is a twisted Disney tale by Liz, I want to say it right, Broswell. So Liz Broswell and a couple other authors actually twisted tales from Disney. They were commissioned to take some of the Disney stories and change a little bit about them and turn it into a completely different story. So this one obviously is about Alice in Wonderland. What if Wonderland is in trouble and Alice is very, very late? If you know anything about Alice in Wonderland, you get, you know, the tagline for that. But she has, the series itself has all sorts of twisted tales. They have Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, they have Frozen in there, a lot of different stories, but Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite stories. This was one of my favorite cartoon movies growing up, so I really, really needed a copy of this. And when I'm done with this, I'm actually going to donate it to a local library. So I will talk about that one with you when I finish it. The next one I received an ARC for. So for those of you who aren't sure what that is, it means Advanced Reader Copy. And I received this ARC from NOVL. They're on Twitter and also Instagram, NOVL. And they sent me this book in exchange for my review. So I will be reading this so that I can give them that review. And this book came out, I think, this month. Yes, it came out in October. This one is called The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And if you saw the movie Knives Out, this would kind of be up your alley. It sounds like it has a little bit of a similar story to it. There is a young girl. This is a young adult novel, by the way. This is a young girl who, for some reason, receives this huge inheritance from this billionaire who passed away. She receives his estate, all his money, and she's never ever met him before. And when she shows up at the estate, awkward, his family still lives there. So she's kind of stuck in this weird place where she's figuring out why they didn't get the inheritance, why she did get the inheritance, and how is she supposed to live in this house with these people that she's never known, who are, quite frankly, pretty angry at her. So once I'm done with this, again, I'll share the review for it, but this one sounds like a really good one. I was a huge fan of the Knives Out movie. And lastly, going back to true crime, this one is called Lost Girls, and it was written by Robert Kolker. And this covers the story of a few women who went missing and their bodies were later found. But because of what they did in their spare time, I guess you could say, putting it delicately, their lives were not necessarily, their disappearances were not necessarily looked into very well. I've actually never heard of the story of the women who are in this book, so I hope I didn't do a disservice with that explanation because I really know nothing about the case at all. But in this story, they talk about how the dark web played a part in it, what the women did in their free time played a part in it, you know, if there were things that they should have been doing that shouldn't have been doing, did that lead to their murder? So it is a intriguing plot line that I'm seeing from the back of the book, and so this was something that I wanted to read in October as well. Okay, there you have it. I have 2 big piles of books to get through. I hope I get through them soon, and please make sure to tune into our channel for Francesca's October TBR. I will put a link in the description to her video, and also some of the recaps we do at the end of the month. We will try to pull all of it together and share with you what we liked, what we didn't like, and yeah, so just keep tuning in. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will catch up with you soon. Bye.